Hi, everyone, and welcome to Life Origami podcast. And today we are touching upon a series of interviews talking about how to make the most out of 2021, how to make 2021 count for the business you love. And for each episode, I have a separate guest invited to provide their business knowledge, ideas, wisdom, experience, and share with you what they lived through so that you can use their experience to make the most out of 2021 in your business. Today, we have an interesting guest. His name is Chris Anderson. He is a high achiever coach. He helps entrepreneurs put together podcasts to promote and grow their business. And today we will touch upon the life of Chris. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me, Alan.
Super glad to have you. You're the first interviewee who is on our podcast with this brand new launch.
Awesome.
And today we'll get to know more about Chris, about his lifestyle, about his practices, about what makes his business grow, what helped it to grow, and generally all around about Chris's life and business. So let's start with getting to know Chris. Chris, tell us a little bit about your background and where you're from.
Yeah, so I am from Indiana in the United States. My background really, it's funny how I got to be doing what I'm doing. And it started, I used to be an athletic trainer. So working with sports teams in school, helping them improve, get over injuries, uh, be higher level performers within athletics. And I was in that for multiple years. And I realized I just wasn't aligned with what I was really created to do with my potential. And so looking kind of inwards and also outwards, like what made me tick? What did I really enjoy doing? Where did I get my energy from? And what really kind of filled me up? And I realized I loved helping people in general level themselves up. And then I realized I had done a lot of that within people's talents and skills and provided that guidance for them, starting kind of their side gigs, their side hustles, and help them kind of lay foundation for building that to become something more than just a side hustle. And so I realized like, okay, this is what I really love. Like I love and am so passionate about doing this. It helps people. It helps them help more people. I'm like, let's do this. Um, and I got connected into podcasting through Lewis Howes. He's a big podcaster out there for lifestyle entrepreneur type individuals, and just really fell in love with what podcasting could do, helping people share their stories, help market their businesses, just help expand their reach in such a simple way. And so that's kind of what led me into doing Pencil Leadership as my podcast, which then translated into me doing a business around it, helping people do the same thing with their podcast and then making that part of their business model so they could use it to scale.
Okay, so podcasting as part of the marketing strategy and business model.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's look at the idea of where are you most productive during the day? Like, are you a night owl or a morning lark? How did you find your productivity time?
Yeah, I definitely am a morning person. I'm way more productive in the morning. A lot of the times because I get up earlier than everyone else, earlier than my wife, earlier than all our animals. And so it's just that quiet time, that peaceful time in the mornings where I can really focus and really get things done that needs to be done. And then by late afternoon into evening, I've kind of made all my mental choices. So I've had that kind of mental fatigue coming in so I'm not as sharp then. I still get things done, but the majority of my productivity is in the morning for sure.
Do you believe that's due to your life through sport? That sport is more about like starting in the morning, or what made you realize that mornings are your thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think part of it has to do with that. Sometimes we had athletic things in the morning before school would happen. But yeah, I guess it's just always been. I mean, I think even as a young kid, I was always up early, just waking up early, just because my body wanted me to. So I think it's always kind of been part of my genetic makeup almost. Like that's just how I run better. And in college, I would be getting up at 4 or 5 to go work out before classes. And I always picked the earlier classes so I could get them done and be done for the day and have all that important stuff out of the way. So it's always kind of been in my mind, like just get it done early, focus hard, and then you can kind of quote unquote relax a little bit as the day winds down.
All right, cool. Tell a little bit more about like, okay, I understand that you found yourself in the field of supporting people, helping them to actually make important decisions in their life, stepping up, voicing themselves, making themselves, let's say, shine to the public and known. Are there any additional things that go in line with your business passion that actually is driving your day-to-day life? Like, is your life fully about business, or you also have like side interests that make you even sometimes not even go to sleep at the right time, for example?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I definitely have big dreams, goals, aspirations with what I want to do outside. I love animals. We have a bunch of our own, and I see that being part of something I'm a part of in the future, whether it be through business helping me do that. But I
What
would
do you mean
say,
by that?
I don't know. I always joke. I say I see a zoo in our future,
Oh, all
or some
right.
sort of animal sanctuary. I love. I mean, we foster dogs. We help with the rescue, and we have a bunch of our own. So, I've always seen something like that, possibly in our future, connected into that, maybe a nonprofit or something, and especially something with kids. So those two areas are really big in my heart, like helping animals and helping kids, because I mean, obviously, kids are our future, and I believe, I mean, God created animals too, and so we have a big role to play to take care of them. So as far as keeping me up at night, though, I honestly think it's just, and it goes to kind of, again, my genetic makeup and who I am is always wanting to improve myself, improve our home, improve the business, improve. I mean, and it sounds corny, but improve the world. I mean, improve the community, however I can. So I'm always like, those are always run through my head, especially kind of at night. Is like, how can I make things better? Like, what can I do to bring more value, make a difference? And so I think that would kind of be what kind of keeps me up at night.
Okay. Out of those things that you're saying, like how to make better, do you have any specific ideas or things that you would say that this is, let's say, a driving mission for me currently? Like this is what I'm working towards day in and day out, or towards, right? Because one thing is having a business, but what's your why behind it?
Yeah. And right now, and I hate putting a number on it because I don't want it to sound like egotistical or for me, for my purpose, but it's just easier to track. So Pencil Leadership's goal is to impact 1 million lives in a positive way. So that's through helping them start a podcast so they can share their story, or bringing them through coaching so they can step into their purpose, into their potential, and really make an impact. Because I think even if I can help like 100,000, but each of them help 100,000, like, it's a ripple effect. And so that's kind of the number I gave it. But that's just because I want to help so many people see their potential, because it goes back to my past and when I didn't see it in myself and when I didn't realize I had much worth. And so growing through that, I want people to understand that they're uniquely made and that they do have potential and a purpose that can really make a big impact on the world.
Very interesting. So basically, one of the missions is that going through a journey of self-discovery, you found how you can help others also do the same, find their voice, find their purpose, and do their own thing. That's very cool. That's an interesting thing that we will dive into it in the partially in the part we will talk about self-awareness. I won't jump into it. I want to, but I always a little bit. So basically today's talk will be divided additionally into several parts. We'll talk about balancing life, right? Making important decisions between family, business, and self-care. We'll
Hmm.
talk about goal setting and how to achieve goals and practical ideas about productivity. We will touch upon several questions in terms of helping build a foundation for scaling a business, right, through attracting help into our lives. Then we'll touch upon, of course, self-awareness. That's like, I'm super psyched to ask you the ideas about how do you actually manage to build that self-awareness and find yourself, like what was the epiphany, what were the tools or what helped you. So we'll get into that for sure, and also touch about the importance of the surrounding and what in the surrounding led you to having what you're having currently in life. So let's start off with life balance. Let's talk about running a business, right? That we're passionate about. We need to learn to balance family, business, and of course, take care of ourselves as entrepreneurs, because without us, there won't be no business, right? There won't be
Right.
anything
Yeah,
happening. So, how do you manage to be in all those places?
for sure. And I have conversations like this with people all the time, and they're like, well, I got kids and I got my 9 to 5 and I got the side hustle I'm trying to build. I don't have the time to work out, take care of myself and all this. And I'm like, yes, you do. It's prioritization. And so you have to prioritize and you have to be creative sometimes. Just recently, a couple weeks ago, I was talking to a guy. He's like, well, we have a newborn and I'm trying to work out, or I'm trying to write and I'm trying to do this. And so working out is hard because sometimes the baby just wants held. And I said, well, if you're holding the baby, yeah, you're holding it, but can't you do body squats? Can't you do some lunges? Like, can't you just lift the baby up and down and like above your head to do like a shoulder thing? Like we got to be creative, but still be able to improve our health. And so that's a big one I hear is the health portion, because um, things get prioritized above it, which is understandable. But if we don't realize, like you said, if we go down, the ship goes down. We're the captain of it. And
Yeah,
so,
that's a great conceptive idea about
mhm,
actually being creative about what
yeah,
you're doing and combining those two together. That's
yep,
fantastic ideas. What in your life,
yeah.
right? When we
And, and,
balance
and
those
so,
things, right? What else can you say about that direction?
yeah. And that's one thing that my wife and we've made it a point that we have a date night every week.
Mm.
And that's not always going out and spending time and things and driving places, but that might just be, hey, we're going to kind of just chill and we're going to watch a movie, or we're going to do a board game, but spending time together and improving our communication so we can build that relationship. Because without her, I'm not where I am today for sure. Because she's been such a big impact and has helped me because of her strengths. And so those are the important things. It's got to be, we've got to take care of, excuse me, we have to take care of ourselves, because like I said, if we go down, the whole ship goes down. And then it's our relationships. So if you have a significant other, family, you got to take care of them, because if not, it's going to trickle in everything else. And then the business comes third, in my opinion. Some might disagree with that, but I think if we're not doing our duty as taking care of ourselves and as part of a family, it'll transition over into business. So yeah, just you got to prioritize that time, and it
Mm.
doesn't have to be multiple hours a day, but enough that you are growing with those relationships in a positive way.
All right. Can you give some life hacks or some insights about how do you manage additionally? Like you said, right? We have to prioritize. We have to take care of the significant other with like
Hmm.
investing the time, right?
Yeah,
Scheduling, right? As you said,
yeah.
scheduling time is important. But positioning, let's say, self-care and relationships on first two positions and then
Hmm.
only business. What ideas do you have in terms of actually being able to sustain the business. Because for many people, when they start launching a business, they put business as a priority because it's a means of survival at first. Then
Hmm.
it grows and scales and becomes a means of providing the life they want, right? It's
Yeah.
usually not the other way around, where you already have a foundation, right? And you are not surviving, but you're living, and then you
Hmm.
start a business. Many go into business in a survival mode, and they put the business as a priority, and then everything else suffers. What kind of insights can you bring in terms of what you've been through?
Yeah, because I'd done the same thing when I started. It was all I've got to get this business going. I've got to get results, blah blah blah, and it took away from self care and from relationships, and so all that turned into like a negative situation because I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not taking care of uh, my wife. I'm not investing there, and then it just all kind of snowballed in like a stress anxiety situation because I was focused on the wrong things. And when I shifted that to take care of myself, now take care of my obligation and my duty to my family, and then I'm going to take the right actions within the business, the stress and anxiety lowered and really almost went away because I understood that I didn't have to force everything. If I did things in the right order and took care of what I needed to, then as long as I'm taking those actions, things were going to start happening.
Cool. Let's dive deeper into finding that balance and talking
Hmm.
about specifically making the right decisions and setting priorities, right?
Hmm.
What helps you to find the right actions for your business, for it to grow rather than standing still while you take care of everything else in life?
Yeah, and that's the big one is you've got to figure out what matters with the business. What's gonna push that needle forward, raise that needle. And a lot of times, myself included, when starting out, we want to do everything when we want to be everything to everybody, and we need to really hone in and focus on what truly is going to shift that needle to get more results, to get us at that next level, and kind of cut away the fat, trim all that fat away, and get rid of all the fluff that we don't necessarily need.
What
To
that
really
can
kind of
be.
so a lot of people want to jump right into like big elaborate websites and all these different bells and whistles that can come with um, online programs to hold your courses, things like that. Starting out, you don't have to have all that if you're doing coaching, if you're doing something like that. And so, and they throw a bunch of money in ads before they even have their target message down, things like that. And so they're all over the place instead of focusing on things that are going to get them results and get them going in the right direction. Then they can add in things as they grow and as they can scale and even delegate some of that.
Mhm. But also take into account your procedure on day to day. Like, how
Hmm.
do you make decisions? Like, we all have, and like, there comes a point where we have a to do list that is like super ever growing. How do you make decisions within the business to do the right things?
Yeah, so really, what's going to be the money making activities? What is going to push that needle forward to bring in the revenue to help more people? And so that would be the adding value and getting in front of more people. So just trying to extend that reach. Those are the big ones at a high level. And so everything else, the logistical aspects of like the website, the SEO, the ads, the things like that aren't as high priority right now because we've got to get that solidified even more before you got to scale in the right order. You got to do things in the right order and systemize things in the right order. Uh, and if you skip steps, if you try to do things sooner, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna see it's a lot more difficult.
All right. Um, about like really seeing your life holistically, right? Taking into account that we have ourselves in it, we have our family in it, we have the business. Do you have something like an ideal life scenario prepared, or how far ahead in life do you plan things?
Yeah, I love that question. I definitely have big goals planned like 10 years out, 20 years out. Um, but with that being said, I plan those, I write those goals down, and then I don't worry about them. I
Mm.
focus on the now, because if I'm staring at a mountain and I'm trying to get to the top and I'm staring at the peak and I'm not watching where I'm stepping now, I'm going to get tripped up and I'm going to get falling over things, and it's going to slow my process, and I'm going to end up getting hurt or whatever. And so, yeah, I know where I'm going. I look at the peak. That's where I'm going.
How often
So
and how? Let's imagine, like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah.
introduce as much practicality into this talk as we can. I believe majority of the listeners heard about those higher ideas. What I want to really get out of you is,
Mm-hmm.
how do you do it? Like, how do you really take into account, like, you have those big goals, where are they in your life? Like, are they on paper? Are they in a digital
Yes,
document? Are they on a wall? Like, where do you keep them to not forget where you're heading?
for sure. Yeah, I write them down in a journal. I have a journal just for my goals. And so I have, like I said, like 20, 10, 5 years, 1 year, 6 months, and then the month we're in. So different goals that I have written down. And so, yeah, I touch base with those. I come back to those.
How
Um,
often?
so the like the year and 10 year and 20 year, 5 year ones. I usually hit those like once a month, every month, kind of hit those
Okay.
longer ones and rewrite them just so I remember. Um, oh, and during the
So the
month, of
process
course.
is basically, you set yourself those goals, and
Mhm.
to solidify them in your mind and focus on them, you don't rewrite them in a sense that you make new ones, but you actually write them down by hand to make the neural connections and keep
Yeah,
remembering it,
yeah,
strengthening that
yeah.
vision. Oh,
So
right.
basically, like I write the 20-year goals. Like what in 20 years, what do I envision? What do I want to be at? What do I want to hit? And then reverse engineer it. So where do I need to be in 10 years? Okay, now where do I need to be in 5 years? Where should I be in 1 year? Or what do I need to have done? And so forth. And then so each week that points to my weekly and daily actions that I need to take, um, to kind of build on that. Do I always hit them? No. I mean, I'm not perfect. No, I don't always hit them, but I regroup and I know where I need to go.
Super. And also, let's look at the idea, right? We've touched upon that, in business, especially when we are solopreneurs, we have an ever-growing to-do list. Like, we daily we get more and more ideas and must-haves and other stuff that we need to get going. Like, touching
Uh-huh.
in every aspect. Like, let's think about even the idea that, okay, the business consists of so many things. Like, when we're starting, the business can consist only of several things, like providing the core service and doing accounting, right? Just
Mm,
having the financial part covered and doing the service
right.
itself. The more we start growing, the more things come into play, right? Potentially like outsourcing and other activities that we need to take care of, track, and so on. Tell us a little bit, how do you plan your week with that ever-growing to-do list?
Mm.
And what helps you to be daily productive? What kind of tools, systems, or what are you using that keeps you going and focused on a daily basis during the week?
Yeah. So basically, as that to-do list grows, and it's a funny thing because from my perspective, like yes, it's growing, but it feels like it's not growing
Hmm.
because like I feel like I'm catching up, and so now it's just the next level kind of thing. And so
Hmm.
to me, it's a weird. But so to do that, I've really um, enjoyed and found success in using the Pomodoro technique.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're aware of that,
Mm-hmm.
but for your audience, basically what that is I set a timer just on my phone. And while that timer's going, it's 60 minutes, so an hour, and I'll be working and I'll focus on work, whatever the task is at hand that I need to get done. I'm focusing on that. And when that
Without
timer goes off,
distractions, right?
without distractions, correct. And when that timer goes off, I have it set for a 20-minute break. And so I do 20 minutes of quote unquote break. Now that's not going to go chill and watch Netflix. So my breaks are just doing something not business related. So I mean,
Hmm.
I'm still a human. I still have to-do lists at home as well and things I have to get done around the house. And so that break could be I'm going to go do the dishes right now, or I'm going to
Hmm.
go. We have chickens, so maybe I got to go take care of the chickens, or maybe it's I am just going to go kind of walk outside a little bit to get my mind off it, or maybe I'll read and do the personal development in that aspect. So I'm still getting things done off that to-do list, but it's not business related.
So
It
it's basically the
correlates.
idea that you're resting through refocusing of the mind.
Hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. How many cycles do you do per day?
Oh man. I like, I want to say it's like 12, 10 to 12
12
cycles.
cycles.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're basically your day is structured in a way that you have 12 hours of work related activity,
Hmm.
and in between 20 minutes of some things
Yeah.
that take into account, like eat food, household stuff, health, and everything else.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
manage that?
It's I do intermittent fasting too. So food comes later anyways. But I think it just starts getting up earlier. I mean, I don't get up crazy early, 5, 6 a.m. So nothing.
Not crazy, just 5.
No, I mean,
That's
yeah.
already
So
crazy early. Like for some who wake at 9 and
I guess
10,
that's
it's
true. Yeah. So I get started early because I mean, again, it goes back to being that morning lark and getting things done. Now those the 10 to 12, that's a good day. That's a really good day for those. Now, obviously, again, and I have to iterate this because I don't want people thinking, oh gosh, I can't do that every day. I'm not perfect, and things come up, and I have to break the cycles because I have to take care of whatever came up, like whatever that is, or I forget I had something, which doesn't happen that often, but so don't think you have to be perfect and have that much. Even if you did 4 cycles and you're being productive, like that's good because you're going to get so much more done.
Do you have any ideas how you actually um, prioritize in between business related tasks? Like we especially as solopreneurs, we have to
Hmm.
focus on everything, right? As we say, we have
Right.
to provide the service itself, we have to engage into sales, into marketing activities, other business related questions. Do you have like any specific framework of how do you approach those things during the day or during the week?
Um, yeah, I plan out the week by each day, like what I need to get done. And I'm usually front end heavy during the week. So I put a lot more tasks in the beginning of the week
Okay.
because I mean my wife, she's a teacher, and so like come Friday and stuff, then she's off, so that gives me a little bit more time to spend with her if I don't spend as much Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with her. And so yeah, I try to front end my week and get a lot of the things done so I can kind of not have to do the 10 cycles later in the week kind of thing.
Are you a person and a businessman that rests at the weekend, or you still do your thing?
I do 1 day of rest. But other than that, no, I'm still doing work during the weekends. But my rest also is not necessarily, again, lounging around doing nothing. My rest is maybe I'll do a woodworking project because I do that just as a hobby. Maybe I'll do extra reading. Maybe that'll be the day we kind of go do a bigger date night where we go and spend the day doing something. But yeah, I do take 1 day of rest. Yeah.
Okay.
Quote unquote rest. Yeah.
I want to touch right here on a question about self-care, taking into account that you have such a heavy, let's say, idea of how you're scheduling your day.
Hmm.
But okay, let it wait till the time where I planned it. So another question, I want to introduce a lot of practicality to this idea. As we said, business demands a lot of attention in all directions. For it to grow, we need to have the right things done on a monthly, on a weekly, and on a daily basis for it to constantly be growing and being able to be sustainable. That's one thing, and growing is another side. So can you give our listeners some ideas of what do you do on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, and on a daily basis to keep your business growing?
For sure. So my schedule, the first week of every month, I is all heavy podcast. So for my personal podcast, so I batch record the next 5 inline episodes, 5 or 6, the first week every month. And then I'll take 1 or 2 days during that same week to edit them, upload them, publish them, get all the social media stuff created. That way, the next 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, the podcast is already ready. Everything's good and coming out with that. So I don't have to worry about it in case something does come up. So that's the first week. That's already planned like into next April. And so other than that, so the next tasks are, okay, what content do we want to put out to add value? And then how are we going to connect with more people and warm them up to what we do and how we can help them? So those are the big ones. And then as they get warmed up, obviously it's a little bit easier to bring them on to help them. So those are the main ones.
That sounds like, let's say, a monthly strategy. What about weekly? If we focus on a week-to-week thing, like, or are there any specific things that's on certain days or certain parts of the week where you know that this is my growth-related activity?
Not so much a specific day. I usually have Thursdays as like calls with people towards the end of the week because they're a little bit easier.
What kind of calls? Are they like
client calls, coaching calls, prospective calls? Because we do breakthrough calls, so it's just literally we get on and we give them like 3 actionable steps so they can take action now and start seeing improvement. So we do those. But the majority of that is during the week is how can we just continue to add value today? How can we connect with more people today? And just spread awareness of what we're doing, because I mean, we're still, in my perspective, ratherly small and not to the point where some other companies are. And so we still need to do a lot of that manual outreach and organic outreach. That's the big part of it, because without people, obviously you're not going to be able to grow. And so again, that's why
daily.
Yeah, daily. Yep.
How does that look like, if you don't mind sharing about
sure.
what can entrepreneurs that do want to grow their business, what does really outreach mean, and how to do it in an organic way?
Yeah. So just finding where your market hangs out, where they're going to be. I mean, for a lot of people, it's going to be like Facebook groups. Maybe Instagram, maybe LinkedIn, just depending on what you're doing. And so you got to know that first, obviously, and know what problem you're going to solve. And then once you do, just get in those groups and add value, answer people's questions, give your insight, give your advice on post valuable information. And then I would suggest starting your own group that's connected with what you're doing, and just inviting people and saying, hey, we're going to add value here. Would love your insight, love your perspective on things as well. And just kind of grow that community and then add value there. I think those are the 2 big ones you could do, is just touch base, have that engagement with your target audience, and then just build that community, because it's going to increase the amount of warm connections you have, which can lead to more clients or more referrals. Or so that would be my 2 big ones, is just engage organically. Don't be a robot. Just, hey, I saw you post that. That's really cool. Like, how long have you been doing that? Or, oh, I checked out your profile after you posted that, and I see you're from Quebec, awesome. Like, I've never been there. What's it like? And just be a person. Like, what would you do if you met someone at a networking event in person, or just at a party in person? Hey, yeah, I like that hat you're wearing. Like, that's really cool, man. My name's Chris. What do you do? Kind of. So,
what would you say for the more shy audience that will be listening to us? Like, this does demand to be not just only more extroverted in the moment of reaching out, but also feeling comfortable doing it, right? Feeling a genuine interest in people, and how to do it for the more shy audience that is out there.
Build your confidence. That's a big one, and that just comes from action. Just doing it, just trying it. When I started, I was not, and I'm an extrovert. When I started, I wasn't the best. I'm still not the best. There's still people that can do it better than me and come off more organically and less, I guess, quote unquote salesy. Like I don't try to do that, but I'm still not the best. And so just practice and know that you're coming into that conversation from a place of true, like, I just want to know about them. I just want to add value. Don't come at it like, oh, maybe this guy will be a client. Maybe they'll buy this from me. Like, just come at it like, this person seems like a really interesting individual, and I want to learn more about him because maybe I can help them. Maybe they know someone that can help me, or maybe they can help me. And that way everyone can win in the conversation.
All right. Out of your, let's say, 10 to 20, 12 cycles per day of productive work, of work in general, what would you say, how many cycles do you dedicate, how many hours do you dedicate to that specific activity daily?
Yeah, I would say probably at least half.
Oh, wow. So basically, did I understand correctly? For all the people listening, you spend 6 hours a day reaching out to people.
Yeah, either reaching out, engaging in groups, adding value in my groups, or just having continuing conversations with people.
Wow. So how much does it out? So around 30 hours a week, you invest into nothing else but just being in the communities where your target audience is, reaching out, adding value, communicating and connecting. So that's your scenario for half of the work week, right?
Yeah, because, and that's where, so with everything else, the systems like to produce a podcast and to do all that are kind of in place. So it doesn't take me a whole lot to get that stuff done. And that's, like I said, that's the biggest part, is just being able to spread what you do, connect with more people, and really grow that audience and the people who have come into contact with it.
Mm, very interesting. While like additionally talking about growth, for all the solopreneurs out there for sure, for entrepreneurs who are also are with a small team, it's super important that we really cannot do everything ourselves, right? We get to a point where we need to do so many actions to grow and develop our business that we just the time we as you know, as people say, we wish there were 25 hours per day because it's just not enough. At that point, we need to learn one key thing, that we need to learn to outsource. We
Mm.
need to learn to ask for help. And what kind of advice can you give to such kind of entrepreneurs who are actually more or less alone in their business and are struggling with the
Yeah.
time issue and productivity issue due to that? What ideas can you give them on the topic of outsourcing tasks?
For sure. Yeah. And if that is the case, you definitely want to look and see either what you're spending a lot of time doing. Um, so like for me, the next step would be outsourcing some of the connection, the engagement stuff, which is kind of in the plans right now. But so what's taking a lot of your time? Or what do you just really, really, really not enjoy doing that's just taking away from your positivity, your like positive emotions? And then see how can that be delegated, how can that be outsourced to someone else. And I know, I mean, there are a lot of people in the Philippines who do a great job for very, very cost effectively. And so there are definitely ways to do it in a cost effective manner to invest back into the business without spending a whole lot, but really making a big difference by being able to outsource that.
What was the first thing that you ever outsourced in your business?
I outsource calls with people.
Mhm.
So closing, and then outsourced some of the kind of scheduling stuff, getting guests, getting calls scheduled, and it's all just part of the system now, which is good. But that was the first thing that I've been able to outsource, and like I said, looking into outsourcing some of the connection stuff to take down some of that time.
What was the
So.
most reliable thing in the outsourcing that you can recommend to people? Like I believe majority still they have ideas about the Fiverr and freelancer or
Right.
whatnot. But can you give some real practical from your experience? What did you use, and how much did it really, like, what was the real cost of getting things outsourced compared to what you would have done yourself?
So the funny thing, so my things that have been outsourced, it's come from the engagement and the communication I've done and given in organic outreach. So I actually connected with a handful of people, and they came back to me and said, "Hey, like, we want to work for you," or "Can I work for
For
you?" And I'm
real?
like, "Well, yeah, dude, it's a crazy story, man. I got to write a book about it." But and I was like, "Well, hey, honestly, like, we're not at the position to pay employees yet." And they're like, "Well, what do I just commission?" Like, and so this was sort of closing stuff. And I was like, "Well, sure, let's do it." So it was crazy. Yeah. Just kind of attracted that conversation. Never thought that would happen. They came back, and they've been a huge asset, not only just for having the calls, but the meetings we have and being able to bounce off people ideas with others who have that same mindset. And the main Micah, the main one, the main guy helping me, he's been awesome. Just for that, like, even if he didn't close, like, just being that kind of sounding board, outside, like my wife and stuff, like, just helps kind of get that energy, that excitement to the next
Mm.
level, having someone on the same kind of mindset path.
Talking like I have it myself. I believe many of the listeners will come across the same question. um take into account that you are selling your services,
Hmm.
your let's say your message, your mission, your ideas through interaction with other
Mm.
people. How do you manage to outsource the question of closing the calls, and what helped you to build out, that framework where you know and trust the closer to
Mm.
deliver what you're actually doing?
Right. And that, yeah, that came through a lot of meetings, communication, making sure we were on the same page, that he understood what we were presenting and how to present it. And again, I call it luck, call it attraction, whatever you want to call it a miracle. Like, he was right on with everything, like, super excited about the mission and what we were doing. And um so it's been real. It was a lot easier. I think some people I'm sure people have had bad experiences where they bring someone on and they're not on track, they don't understand. And so it goes back to just to having that communication with them,
Hmm.
explaining the process, like how you've done it, because obviously you'd be doing it before, running through that, and then just making sure they understand um, what information they're sharing and what they're offering. So it's more smooth, streamlined, and you can even have them record the calls, so you can kind of look at them, like, or rewatch them and say, okay, hey, yeah, you did good there, but maybe hear about when you offered it or whatnot. So there's always ideas to improve.
Hmm. Very nice. um I think okay, let's touch upon this point as well.
Hmm.
The point of first hire in the business. What do you believe, from your perspective, touching from your experience and the entrepreneurs you worked with, what is the most important first hire for the business, and how potentially to make that decision of what is really the most important hire?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think it's different for different people. I mean, you hear a lot of people hiring virtual assistants first to take some of the administrative work and scheduling and things. So that could be a good one. The outreach could be another good one, because that is a big portion of it. And so I would lean towards those.
Hmm.
Like I said, Micah, he just kind of came back to me and asked, and I was like, sure, why not? And so it just fit. It was just really good. But um, yeah, I would look at what's taking a lot of your time that can be delegated, that someone else could do fairly easily, and work on that. That's where I would start. So a lot of people, it would be outreach, or it would be the admin, the scheduling, and things like that that VAs can do, virtual assistants can do. So that's kind of where I would lean towards guiding people to start.
All right. Touching extra little bit about marketing and sales.
Mhm.
What do you believe is the most important step in the buyer's journey, and what to do to maximize the conversion there?
Yeah, that's a great one because man, the whole journey is important, I think, because I mean, get different touch points with us and they get to see more of our mission and how we're approaching things. Um, I think I think the first touch point's really important because that's going to be like, okay, am I going to continue like listening and being a part of this and kind of growing closer with this individual or this product or this service, or is it going to be no, that's totally not me. Peace out. Like, so I think that's a really big one. Um, but I think how we're nurturing it is big. So how much value are you really adding? Are you giving enough before you're asking for something? I think is really important.
Mm,
And so I would say that was probably, in my perspective, is the most
mhm.
important, because once you give enough and you understand their pain points and you've been giving towards that, when you go to ask, it, it, it it's going to be a lot easier because they've already seen you. You've already helped them.
So, did I understand correctly? So, your core idea in the buyer's journey is the point of building authority in the client's eyes as
Mm-hmm.
the major focus point of basically building a brand, right? So, the
Mm-hmm.
brand building as a core focus to efficiently convert clients further.
Yeah.
uh, in okay, let's look at that then. In brand building, in reaching out and providing value, what do you believe is a must have to build that authority and build that brand?
You got to know what your values are. What do you stand for? What's the business like? What are you not going to waver from? Is huge because that's going to direct what you do, and how you help people. So I would say that's the key one: knowing what your values are, within your business, and then obviously what pain do you solve and for who? Obviously, is the next one. So those would be the top two things to focus on.
Mm, great. Let's then let dive into the understanding of self-awareness and running a business, right? Working
Hmm.
with people, leading people. It really demands a lot of effort to build the self-awareness, to self-develop. And can you remember what was the number one thing or system that gave you a massive boost to your self-awareness? Like, what was maybe like in my life, I had that experience where one thing totally transformed my worldview. Did you have some similar experiences, or maybe lesser than that, but something that influenced your self-awareness?
Yeah, and I think it goes back, just to my time in high school, going to college, and I've shared this story before. Um, but just dealing with that depression and the suicidal thoughts and everything, and just not seeing my worth was the start of it. Just getting me basically to that low of low, where then in college had mentors come and kind of show me through my faith in God and everything, like I have worth. I was created for a purpose. And that was the big turning point, like understanding, like no matter what, like it doesn't matter what title I'm given, what group I'm a part of, what job I have. Like if all that's gone, I have self-worth, I have potential, I have a purpose even outside of all that. And so that was really the pivotal moment. And then I started growing with that and just learning more about myself through just scripture, just through like silence, like listening, and then
Mm.
listening to other people, and when they said, hey, you're really good at that, or wow, like I never thought about that, that's profound, or that's a really good insight, like, and you're just like, well, I didn't think it's anything special. But so those are big moments. And then obviously there's assessments you can take to learn more about who you are as a person, what makes you tick. And those have helped. The Enneagram was big for me.
Oh,
And some others.
nice.
Yeah. And some others. Um, so all that kind of, the process started back then in college, and then I just continued to grow, and just listen was a big one. Listen in silence, listen to other people, and listen to those assessments.
Very nice. So, um, basically, as you said, listening to what people reflect back to you from interacting, or
Yeah.
like seeing you from a side and reflecting about what you have in you. Very
Yep.
interesting. That's a really beautiful point. I want to touch upon Enneagram. I
Mm,
am a core believer, fan, practitioner, and all the way in believer in the Enneagram.
awesome.
Um, Tell me a little bit about your experience touching the Enneagram, and how was it? Like, what was your
Yeah,
first acquaintance, and how did it? What kind of impact did it provide to your life?
for sure. So I am not an Enneagram specialist by any means. So it's a newer thing for me, but I really liked it. I found out that I was a one. And so I think that's the reformer, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Okay. And it really it was cool to see just what that meant in the Enneagram sense, and how the description of a one is constantly wanting to improve things, and constantly, but also when they're told, hey, good job, or you're doing good, like they don't believe it. That's kind of their weakness almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I like thinking back in my life, I'm like, yeah, like whenever anyone tells me, hey, good job, or man, you did really good there, internally, I'm like, eh, thanks, but not really. Like, and so seeing all that, looking at my past, connecting it into that, and then like being able to see through that, like when I'm not aligned, like the negative guy, like when you have a bad day or something like that, you have certain traits
Mm-hmm.
that come up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah, like thinking back in the past, like how I acted sometimes, or before I kind of was started that growth, like man, that hits it right in the head. And so it was really neat, to be able to see that, and what strengths kind of are within the one, where the kind of the weaknesses are, and then where the kind of the how you kind of translate in a healthy and in an unhealthy state.
Yeah, it's definitely profound knowledge, and for
Hmm.
me, Enneagram was one of the first personality typing tools that I've ever encountered. And for
Okay.
me, it was just like, I got chills because the first time in life I actually read about myself on paper.
Yeah.
That was mind blowing.
What were you? What number
I'm
are you?
type 7, type 7.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
My wife's a
And
6. So,
oh, all right. And just the idea that what I love about the Enneagram is that it doesn't put on labels, right? It's a
right.
tool for self improvement rather than sticking yourself into a certain type or modality and just fixating who you are. It's the
Yep.
constant self development and growth tool. And
Yep.
yeah, I love the Enneagram for that. That's really great. I'm actually excited. I see, as much as there are people who never encountered the Enneagram, there are people who did, and just understanding what kind of impact it made on their life is just so fascinating to see.
Yeah.
All right, deep listening, reflecting, listening to what people reflect to you, different tools like the Enneagram for self reflection. That is beautiful. Let's look at the idea of self perception and perception of life. And this question is more for those who are on a journey of growth, and are still, let's say, building up their business to
Hmm.
get their income to like 5K, 10K, maybe
Yeah.
15K a month. What I want to touch upon is, first, where are you at personally in terms of your monthly results or yearly results,
Hmm.
and how did your self perception and perception of life change due to having that change in income compared to like having an average wage and being where you are now?
Yeah. And so again, my journey is a little bit different. So I went about it how you would say, or people would say, is not the right way to do it. So usually you say, do your side hustle, get it built to a point where it's covering X amount of dollars compared to your 9 to 5 job. Well, I didn't do that. I just couldn't get past the calling to quit my 9 to 5 cold
Mm,
turkey and start this. And so that with that, my journey just looks a little bit different, and quote unquote success looks a little bit different because yes, I'm making close to 5K a month, but because I didn't have a 9 to 5, it basically took that position, basically what I was doing before. Whereas when you get to 10K, 15K a month, then things change because then you can invest a lot more back into the business.
mm,
And so I don't ever tell anyone just to quit their job like I did, because it's man, it's crazy. It 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 really is something, man. It was a journey, but getting to the point where I am now, even though not necessarily seeing a big financial change compared to what I was doing in my 9 to 5, I feel so much different. Like my perspective, like, no, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not doing all this yet, but like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And that's the cool thing. Like I'm helping more people, and I get to set my schedule. I get to create and do what I love doing every day. And it's not dictated by someone else. And so, so I foresee as things keep growing like they are, yes, it'll change, but there'll be new problems because you'll have more money that you have to take care of and be able to then invest back correctly. And so it opens up new problems. Like a lot of people, I think Grant Cardone says it, like, you don't have a money problem because you don't have money. Like you just are paying the bills. But when you start having money, then you're starting to have money problems. Like, and so I think that's kind of where I am. And it's an exciting thing to be able to like just kind of create my schedule, create this life and see where it's going and see the results I have had. But again, mine's not it's like a unicorn. Yeah, I don't recommend people just quitting cold turkey and jumping into something, because it's a big shift, and it's a lot. And I'm just grateful and thankful for what I knew going into it to get to where I am now. And I'm excited for 2021 for what's coming down the pipeline, so then I can continue to scale and grow even more. But again, just like what I tell people, it's in the right order.
beautiful. Um, Out of the whole journey you've been on, what do you believe? Like maybe it's an action, maybe well, like something else. But what actually influenced your growth of the business?
Hmm. That's a really good question. What influenced the growth of the business? I would say getting my ego out of the way,
What does that mean?
not thinking I know everything, no matter how much I researched and read and learned, that there are other people that are at higher levels that are going to have insight that I can't find just by listening and reading. So stepping out of the way to allow things to start kind of happening on their own instead of trying to force everything was a big one. That's a big thing I've learned, that if you do the right action, you take action daily, but you're not trying to force it. So you're not going into those conversations saying, "Oh, okay, I got to get this guy. He's got to be a client." Like, just like, I just want to know about this person and can I help them? And taking that stress and taking that pressure and stop trying to force a square peg in a round hole kind of thing. That was a big one. And when I did that, and when I listened, again, when I going back, just listening to my coaches, to my mentors, to my circle, like, what are they saying? And it just kind of guided, and it kind of molded what my business turned into, because it fell so much into my strengths and what I wanted to accomplish. Everything came together into that. And that's kind of me stepping out of the way with what I wanted originally it to be, and it transitioned in what it should be.
Okay, very interesting. Uh, Tell me about now. Before we jump into surrounding, because you touched upon having a
Mhm.
powerful surrounding that helped you to do that. And I'm so psyched to ask you more. But here's a point where we touch upon self-awareness, and specifically having a busy lifestyle and having self-care rituals.
Mm,
What kind of rituals you have and
yep,
how they are supporting you?
for sure. Working out, yoga or stretching, visualization or meditation, um, and getting into scripture for me, for my faith. Those are four main ones for sure. And then I would add on breathing in those moments where you're like, maybe you're overwhelmed. When I get overwhelmed, when I get in those cycles and they're going and I'm like, something's not going like I want it to. And I feel it kind of all bubbling up and something. I take a micro break, even within those scheduled times. And I'll just sit and I'll just take some deep breaths and just kind of recalculate, refocus. So I would say those are the five ones, and breathing being one of the big ones too.
Cool. But can you share how do you distribute them to fit in nicely into your schedule?
Yeah. So I guess basically my morning routine has a lot of that. So first thing I do when I get up is make my bed to start it off with discipline and a win. And then I go into my scripture reading and my prayer time. So that's kind of my meditation and my listening time. And then kind of taking just a short stint of visualization in the morning. Like, okay, this is where I'm going. So I write it down, but I also visualize the future. And then, okay, this is what I need to do today. And then after I do that, then I kind of get started with my gratitudes, my journaling, my planning of the day real quick. And so in that I plan out when I'm going to work out. Because some people say you got to work out right in the morning, get it done first thing. And I used to be that way. And sometimes that's when it fits. And so that's when I do it. But a lot of the time I do it like in an afternoon, because it's almost like for me, like a nice break, relief, like get to go work out the frustrations from the morning if there were any, and just kind of get out of that zone. And so I make sure to schedule that in. And then the stretching really just happens whenever, during those 20-minute breaks, do some downward dogs, do some cat cow, do some just hamstring stretches, whatever it is, just throughout the day.
How long does your morning ritual take?
I would say it takes an hour and a half, maybe.
So you wake up around 5 and you're going into work around 7.
Yeah, roughly. Because I work from home, I work from my house, so I don't have that travel time and stuff. So
interesting. Okay, so spreading out your work time during the day. Let's look around about who surrounds us, what are the people next to us, and what is actually influencing besides our inner game around us is what is the support system. So the first idea is that Jim Rohn said it as well. Your income is the average of the 5 closest friends. How was and is your surrounding important to your growth and success? Share some ideas and insights.
Yeah, it's crucial. It's crucial. And it's the analogy, it's the picture, it's the visual that I share. You have 2 pieces of fruit and one's rotting. The other one will rot if it's up next to it, if it's in vicinity with it. So that causes that other fruit to rot as well and to mold. So you have to be careful who you're putting around you, because if they're toxic, if they're negative, it's gonna as much as you don't think it might, because you can handle it and it's gonna start having a toll on you. And so I think it's super crucial, and it goes back again to what we're listening to. Even if you're having all the news on that is constantly negative, constantly talking about the negative stuff going on, yes, it's okay to be aware, but if we're constantly listening to that and tuning into that, then it's going to kind of seep into our thought process, our mindset. So I think who you surround yourself, a mentor of mine said, who has your ear has your life, and who you tune into, you turn into. And I think those are right on for sure.
All right. Taking into account that you've been in a long journey of transformation, you quit your job, you started your process of building up of your thing. Um, who who in your life were the most influential personalities that
Mm,
assisted your journey and helped you to get where you are now?
that's a good question. So obviously, my parents have been super supportive. My wife, Hannah, they have all been crucial. They've all had given me the support, the motivation, the encouragement needed in those hard times with it. Um, so that being super close, they have played a huge part. But I would also say people like Lewis House, if you know who that is. He's the podcaster, a lifestyle entrepreneur. Napoleon Hill, just in his books, and being able to listen to some of his audios played a huge part just from what I took from it. And that's one big thing I want people to understand. Maybe you don't know anyone yet. Maybe you don't have anyone yet that's a positive influence in your circle physically, but you can create your circle. You can create who is in your circle, who you listen to, who you get information from by listening to their stuff. It doesn't have to be someone in person. So you can listen to John Maxwell's stuff and get that leadership, that motivation there, and still have that positive influence. You can listen to other people, read their books. It's the same thing. You're still building your circle. If you've read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, he talks about the mastermind is all in the head. So they visualize Abraham Lincoln and Henry Ford, different people that are part of their circle, and they visualize them talking together and giving advice and direction and things like that. So just again, you don't have to have them physically there because maybe you don't have that right now. Maybe you don't know or haven't met those people, but you could still create it through different forms of media and even in your mind.
So it's basically consuming their message
Hmm.
is already, let's say, a virtual mentoring process that
Yeah,
helps
absolutely.
you to be more focused and in tune with what you need to do.
Absolutely.
On your journey, did you have someone such as like maybe coaches or other people who you specifically brought into your life proactively? What
Mm.
did it take, and how did it come to be?
Yeah, definitely. I have a coach and I still use him because like I said, I will always have a coach and a mentor because I'm always growing and there's always a next level to get to. And if I didn't have one, I'd feel like a hypocrite. And so yeah, my coach Jeremy, who's really been a good, amazing help and good kind of guide with everything. I forget we connected, I think, on social media, and it just kind of a relationship grew, a friendship grew from it. And so I just invest into him to invest into me. Um, I've sought out business professionals in my area and asked them to meet for breakfast or meet for coffee just to pick their brain um, because I wanted to learn from them and getting in sort of like networking groups to learn from others as well has been a cool kind of impact. So they're out there. Just I would seek it. You got to seek for that wisdom, seek for that knowledge, and there's many forms. Obviously, you can invest in a coach and pay. You can look for mentors who will freely give, and all of those I think are needed.
Cool. That gets me to the other question. What strategies helped you to find the right people? So, what was like,
Yeah,
what did you look for? How did you understand where to try to look for them, and as well as who to pick?
yeah, that's a good question, and it's a hard one because like I seek that like I part of my like routine is help me to find this or help me to see or figure out how to do this or whatnot. And so it almost like they found me kind of like just I don't believe in coincidences, and so things happen were brought together through groups. Like I'm in, or I was a board member for one organization, and I'm a board member at another one now still, and I just meeting people through that led to some of the business mentors. Um, and so I think just being the best you can, doing the right things,
Mm.
and just looking to network, connect with people because we're made to be in community. We're made to have relationships with one another and build up one another. So I think that just kind of attracts those people together and puts you in situations and places that you can meet those kind of people, and then just talk with them. And depending on your value system and the values of your business, you'll kind of just know when you're like, oh wow, that he's in line with, he's doing kind of what I want to do. Like I look up to him. I would love to talk to him, and just reach out. A lot of people on that level are more than happy to share, which has been a cool thing.
Very interesting. It goes in line with this idea where it's not just about being in the right place at the right time, but also seeing the opportunity and
Mm-hmm.
taking action, being able to
Big.
seize it, right?
Taking action. That's probably the most crucial thing you just said right there. All of it's good, but we got to take action. We've got to reach out. We've got to do that no matter what.
Tell me a little bit more about the perspective. I believe for many it can be, they just need to hear it from a person who experienced it. Um, you said a crucial thing. I 100% learned that from my experience as well. People on a high level are willing to gift you their time and
Mm-hmm.
wisdom. How, like, what did you experience through your journey?
Yeah, I've had multiple people that I've reached out to. One in particular, I remember connecting, and he was a successful business owner. And I was like, I'm sure he has a lot of knowledge that he could share with me. And so we had already kind of built a relationship. We had talked multiple times, and I just
How?
reached out to one day.
What could, like, in terms of,
Yeah.
for people to better understand the perspective,
Hmm.
what do you mean by we've met and talked? Like, is it where you
For
were in
sure.
a group and like in comments, or what was that about?
So this gentleman in particular started at church, and so I'm big involved in church and stuff, and so that grew into being a board member of the church, which he was a part of as well, and so we were able to build that relationship there. And then after we moved on from that, I just reached out to him and kept talking with him, and then one day I was like, hey, you have a lot of knowledge. I would love to sit down, buy you breakfast, and just kind of pick your brain. And it turned into a continuous thing for a while. And then that season was over. COVID helped a little bit with that. But yeah, just get involved with things. You meet so many people that way, whether it be Chamber of Commerce, whether it be organizations, church, or non-for-profits, places you can volunteer, online networking things you can be a part of. You meet so many people, and again, just the outreach thing. Like I've met so many people just engaging online that no, they don't need my service, but we built somewhat of a friendship that I can go and, hey, I have this idea, or what do you think from your perspective? And then they ask me stuff about podcasting and leveling up, kind of personal development things. And so it's all about, you meet so many people, and a lot have been podcast guests on my show. And man, it's really cool just who you can meet by just asking.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Like, truly, the core thing about connecting with the right people and reaching out is just being fearless about actually taking that action and
Yep.
reaching out, and not taking no personally, because no
Right.
doesn't necessarily mean no forever. It can
Right.
mean no at this second, and you can reach out again. And
Yep.
another thing is that not just being fearful about who they are or what level they're on, as
Right.
long as you're able to genuinely approach, not from a perspective of using that person, but connecting with them and
Yep.
respecting them,
Yep.
then you are in a super highly well positioned situation where they will affirmatively say, yeah, okay, sure, invite me to lunch, or
Yep.
let's take a coffee break, or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And try to
wonderful.
add value in those too. Like, and whatever that is, maybe it's, um, you produce some social media content for them that fits their brand. Hey, I just made these. I thought you might like them. Here you go. No, don't worry. I'm just trying that out. Or maybe it's you just share their stuff and connect and engage with it. You're still making that connection before you ask. It's the same kind of thing. Just try to give how you can. um, the best you can before you ask for.
Very nice. All right. So let's wrap today's conversation up with a final question. What advice will you give to listeners on what they can do right now to make the most out of 2021 for their business?
Figure out what you want to happen in 2021. Figure it out, write it down. What is that goal? And then reverse engineer it to figure out what you need to do daily, weekly, monthly to get there. That would be the first two steps. The third one, then start taking action. Stop making excuses and start taking action. And it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be hard, just like working out or running to try to improve. You're going to be sore. Same thing with building a business. Same thing with trying to accomplish something and do something new. It's going to stretch you and it's going to feel uncomfortable. And I say it, I've said it multiple times, but my favorite quote is, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek."
Mm,
So we've got to do things. We got to do hard things daily to grow,
mm.
to improve, to get the results we want. And that's what I would leave for people going into 2021.
Beautiful. And one last question. In
Mhm,
the field of podcasting,
mhm.
what would you recommend in 2021?
Just make sure you're giving out good quality and it aligned with who your audience is. So good content, and just connect with people and share it. Like, hey, I see you do this. I had an episode that kind of goes in that. You might like it. Here it is. Boom. You're not asking for them to sign up for anything or do anything. You're just giving value. Hey, I saw you ask this question in that group about whatever. I actually did an episode and I interviewed this guy talking about that. Maybe it could help you. Here's the link to it. So you grow out your audience, you'll grow your marketing there, but just make sure it's good content, good quality, and do the best you can.
So the tip is, if I understood correctly, take the content you recorded, understand what value it delivers, and through connecting in groups and other places where your target audience is, share with them the episode with a message. Hey, you can get some great value from this episode. You can check it out. And that's your way of serving the community,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because you're giving them an actual something they can actually listen to and take and add value to their journey, and then kind of warming them up to what you do.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris, for being with us. It was a great episode with a lot of interesting insights. It was wonderful to get to know you. I wish you a blissful and successful 2021. Are there any final words you would like to say to our audience?
Yeah, just know your potential, and it's so much more than what you have been programmed to believe. We have so much potential, and people are counting on you to step into that because you're going to make a difference in their lives.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time, Chris.
Thank you,
And
Alan.
stay tuned for the next episodes.